Okay, so in this video, I'm pleased to announce the release of version 2 of the Trend Engine. So the Trend Engine, I've announced it a couple of weeks back. It's an EA that is trend following, that tracks the volume in the market to position itself accordingly. So basically what it's trying to do is to detect when um, there is a majority of buying power where the volume is largely tilted in one direction, and then it begins to trade in that particular direction. So the last time we discussed this, one of the issues that a whole lot of people raised was the issue around the VPS, right? That getting a VPS alongside to run it is a major additional expense, um, especially given where some of my viewers are coming from. So I perfectly understand. Is could be a major burden, right? So what I decided to do was to go back and see if there was a way I could build one that does virtually the same thing, but then uh, doesn't really require a VPS. And I'm pleased to announce the release of this version 2, which does exactly that. So I'm going to run through the settings quickly, and then I'm going to run a live backtest, right? I'm going to run a live backtest of at least 1 year plus, right? And then we'll see how the performance would have looked like. All right, so the first thing we need to do is to drag our trend engine version 2.0 straight to the chart. All right, you need to make sure allow live trading is on. So if we go to the inputs, the first thing we'd see is the trade start time and the delete time. So I'm going to cancel this so that I can explain a little bit. So before you drop the EA onto a chart, you can actually run it on any time frame, but it's basically functioning primarily with the daily, but you could actually put it on any charts. I encourage you to put it on something that isn't too low, like maybe 1 minute or thereabout, so that um, it doesn't slow down the EA so much, right? So, but this is pretty more efficient than even the version 1. So for anyone who has gotten the version 1 before, the version 2 has already been sent to them or will be sent to them. But for going forward, any other person that is wanted to get the trend engine is going to get the version 2. That's because the version 2 is already way more efficient. It is faster. Everything is really better around it. Could you still use a VPS with it? Of course. And I'll explain all the nitty-gritty as we move along. So I was talking about the issue of time. So when you open your market window or your market watch, right, all you need to do, that's Control M for those who don't know, right? You right click. Let's look at specification. And then we need to go all the way down. So when we get to this down place, what we are looking out for is this tree, right? So what people don't really understand is that the market, even though it's supposed to be 24 hours, there's actually a little bit of a pause in between market rollovers. That's when market switches from one day to the next. And this helps you to know when your broker basically allows you to start trading. Why is this important? Now, your delete time and your um, trade start time must be after this, right? Must be after the beginning, this time that is listed here, right? So we can see ours is 0001, right? That is 1 minute after the new day starts. So we are going to load this again to our charts. And what we are basically going to do is that we're going to set our delete time to 1 minute after we're allowed to start trading in the day, right? So that is the next thing we need to do. Then for our trade start time, it could be even 1 minute after the delete time, but it must be after the delete time. So we could make it something like, um, let's just leave it at 05, right? Now, one of the things you need to realize with version 2, and that is what makes it unique, is that you actually don't need a VPS. So now, instead of a situation where the EA keep recalculating where it is supposed to take its positions from, since the positions are largely based on what happened the previous day, where the entries or what has happened over a period of time. Just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. Just had a bit of a cough. So I was mentioning the fact that your trade start time needs to be after the delete time, right? And the good thing about it is that your EA needs to be only on at rollover down to the trade start time, right? So your EA only needs to be on just a little bit before the delete time. So I encourage you have it open even before the market rollover. So like 2 minutes before market rollover, you should find out what that is in your own time. So in MT4 time is always midnight. So you should find out what time that is in your own time zone to be able to use this without a VPS. So you just need to make sure that your system is on and connected to the internet before market rollover. So I encourage you to do that like 2 minutes before market rollover, right? And then it needs to be on until after the trade start time. So since the where the orders will be placed is largely based on what happened the previous days and then a couple of days back, then what you need to do is to basically um, allow this to run. It's going to recalculate, it's going to calculate all where the orders are supposed to be. It's going to calculate where the orders are supposed to be and then place all the orders at the same time, right? So that is basically how that one works. So what I'm going to next thing is a risk per trade. So if you've watched the last video, that basically stays the same. You will notice that I've taken out the mitigation. There was really no need for it. It wasn't really doing much in way of improving the results. So the risk to reward ratio is 2.0. So every trade has a fixed SL and TP. There is no martingale, all those stuff. It's no unlimited open-ended SL, which could get very dangerous in case of gaps, in case where the market becomes extremely volatile and all what have you. So this has fixed SL, fixed TP, meaning that you could use it even with proper accounts that demand that you have visible SLs and TPs. So the next thing is the maximum slippage. So occasionally the EA might take market execution trades, like instant execution, buy and sell. So you want to specify the maximum slippage that is allowed. Now, given that this EA is working with EU and GU, it's primarily designed to work with EU and GU, which are very, very liquid and have very, very low slippage. We are leaving this at 0.5 pips. We don't want a slippage of more than 0.5 pips. Now, the maximum daily trades, still leave it as 3. Now, execute on switch on. I'm going to set this to true so that we'll see what that does. All right, your magic number basically is just there. All right, and then we'll click on OK. All right, and then we have this. So now I'm going to demonstrate what the switch on does. All right, so if we click on this, if we turn it on, our bias is bullish, right, on EU because we are bearish on the USD, right? So since we are bearish on the USD, we are buying EU and GU. So once I turn this on, you will see that it basically takes the trades that are necessary, places the orders or takes trades as necessary. So in this case, it has taken one trade and it has placed all the orders that needs to be placed along with their respective TPs. If I push this down a little bit further, you will see the SLs. So if you look here, you see there's a bit of both SL and the buy limits at these levels, right? So that is basically how it works. So any order that is not triggered get deleted at the end of the day, right? The delete time is also built in as an additional safeguard so that especially in the MT5 version, I realize sometimes due to that broker timing of a thing, at the time when the order should expire, the brokers are not allowing you to execute trades, and that could lead to the delete failing, all right, deleting the pending orders failing. So the delete time is an extra safeguard that is built into it. If you're using this on MT for virtually all the time, the orders will expire by themselves. You don't even need the delete time is rendered useless, sort of. So, but for MT5 versions, it's very, very important that delete time. So that is basically how this runs. So you have it, you can come and do this at every market rollover every day, and you don't need a VPS. So you basically, it's like now a kind of a hybrid between completely hands-free trading and trading is like you're coming to open your orders. So you basically trade at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the day rather, and you are set for the rest of the day. So again, could you use this with a VPS? Yes, you could simply load this on a VPS, turn this on, and let it run, like, and just leave it, and it will do its thing. Now, but if VPS is too much of a cost for you, then all you need to do is to have your system on for about 10 minutes of the day, right? Just a 10 minutes period. It's going to take all the trades, and then you could shut down your system without any care in the world, and then just do that over and over again, like on a daily basis, right? So that is basically how that works. So now I'm going to run a back test. So if we open Control R and we load in our trend engine versus 2.0. All right, so the available data of this goes back to October 2023. So I'm basically going to start from the 23rd. Now, the reason for that is what we use to track the volume, right, is basically based on something that's gotten from TradingView, right? And building the bridge has been a bit difficult. So I just decided, okay, instead of doing that, why can't we just come here and use our buy and sell buttons to basically get the buyers that we are interested in, right? So and we're able to get like 1 year back, right? So from now on, we are really following its data I followed from like March of last year up until now, but didn't really document it as much. So we actually have the data that we have available is from towards the end of last year, from the 23rd of October down to the present time. So it's a 1 year back test, more than 100 trades, which is really the benchmark to determine a profitable system. And then we'll see what the results look like. So we are just initially going to run a strictly 1 year back test. So to October 2023, that'll be 2024. October 23, 2024. That's a complete 1 year back test. I'll run this on EU, then I'll run it on GU, then I'll run from that time to the present date what the results look like. Or so that I don't waste our time, let me just run this on EU, and then I'll run from that date to present time on GU so that we can see what it looks like. So we'll go to our expert properties, right? I'm going to change this to 05, right? And then we click on OK. So I'm not running a visual test because I want it to be very, very fast. If you've run this before, you know that running a visual test is a bit slower. So I'm going to click on Start. So it's going to try to populate the data initially. All right, so this is basically populating the data that is necessary to run the back tests. All right, so you could see the trades that are already being running. All right, so many of the trades, if we go to the results, you can see the results that we are getting already. All right, so we can see the results coming in. So can also look at the graph. So one of the things I really liked about the EA, having built more than 100 EA, no kidding, literally having built more than 100 EAs, is the graph. I really like the fact that we don't have to one massive dip at some point, right? So you see that it keeps looking like an uptrend where you are having higher highs, right, and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and it keeps on going like that. So the curve is smooth, right, lean up. So if we look at the reports, we could see what we got from there. So 1084, that's over 100%, right? That's about 108% returns over that 1 year period. Maximum drawdown, I am usually more concerned with the relative drawdown, which is about 12.5%. So the relative drawdown is 12.5%. So what that means is that from the peak of profits to a time that we had a period of a drawdown, what happened, right? So there was, if you started at that peak and then went all the way down, it means um, you could have at that point suffered a 12.5% drawdown using 0.5% risk, right? So using 0.5% risk. So if your risk was 0.25%, then your drawdown would have been like 6.25%. So just remember that the reason why that's important is depending on what you're doing. If you're trading a personal account, this might not be much. Of course, if you've used EAs before, you know that most of the EAs in the market could have drawdowns of up to 30, 40%, sometimes even more than that. So if you're trading a personal account, this is not much of a big deal. But if you're going to be trading a proper account, then you want to probably halve the risk if you are going to be trading just one pair. Now, in the video that I make for whoever that gets the EA, I've taken time to give my own recommendations on the risk management settings that you should apply, depending on if you are trading your own personal funds or trying to use this for a proper account. Now, consecutive losses. So the EA at some point had 15 consecutive losses, no hiding anything there. So you could see even with those 15 consecutive losses, it still never had more than a drawdown of this, right? So it could happen. And then again, we have consecutive profits of 22. So consecutive wins, 22, a run of 22. Now, the win rate, all right, so profit trades 55, we get to win 55.6% of our trades, right? 55.6%. So one of the things about it is it's not focused on precision per se, other than making sure that you are a part of the move, right? So you are sacrificing precision to make sure that you are always part of a happening move, right? So I think that's basically that's the key things that we need to look out for. So, but if you are looking at the absolute drawdown, that was if we started at that day, what was the maximum we went below our initial balance? That was 349. All right, so we went the absolute drawdown was 349. So we went to about 9,600 and something, because this is a 10K, the initial deposit is 10K, would have gone to about 9,600. So 3.5% drawdown, absolute drawdown, if you're interested in that. So total trades taking 259. Right. So usually a sample size is supposed to contain 100. This is 259. So it takes trades virtually every single day. Almost every day, you are going to have a trade running using the trend engine. All right. So let's quickly run one on GU as well. And for this, because people asked me throughout this period, we are actually bullish, right? We're also bullish on, we are bearish on the USD from like the 1st of November. So we've been bullish on the USD. So some people were like, okay, what will happen in this bear run here, right? So let's look at it to date, and let's run it. So like to be as transparent as possible. Let's try giving the industry that we operate in where people hide a whole lot of things. So EU was for 1 year was 108% return. So let's run this one for including this bad period that we've had, right? It has been a negative period. So let's see what it looks like. All right, so see our trades already being placed, still getting some level of results. Right, if we could look at the graph again, I like the smooth nature of the graph, making higher highs, right, higher lows. That is the definition of an uptrend, right? So it's good to see that the balance is in an uptrend, right? Our balance remains in an uptrend. So you could see this is, for those who have had the opportunity to test out version 1, you could tell that this one is way faster, like way faster, way more efficient than the version 1 of the trend engine. So let's see. All right. Okay, we're almost there. All right, so that is a notification that we are done. Right, so you could see, so this was 5th of November. All right, that was where we had a peak at the 5th of November. And then, of course, that was before the US election. So that was, if we go to GU, that was before this candle. All right, that's begun this push to the downside, but the volume trend hasn't still changed. Right, so that's the really amazing thing about it. So we're still bullish. So I expect, if you watch the market preview that I did for the current week, that is 18th of November to 22nd of November, mentioned the fact that I'm expecting the bullish move to basically kickstart from here. All right, in terms of price action, because volume wise, the big players are basically bullish, right? Of course, could they come to change that? Yes, anything is still possible, but I think it's a bit unlikely. All right, so you could see this. Let's look at the results. So you could see that the drawdown or the push to the downside wasn't even as steep as maybe somewhere here, right? Or somewhere here. So, but let's look at what the report says. So the report says from October last year to date, so that's a period of about 1 year, not up to a month, but about 1 year, 1 month. So what would have had was you have had 112%, right? 112% returns growth on the account. So of course, you would have doubled your account if you allowed it to basically grow and compound. So if you are not compounding, your results are going to be slightly less, or are going to be a bit less than what you have here, because this is compounded over time. So total trades taken 278. The profit factor is 2.0. So you always want this to be above 1, right? So 2.0, it's really good. So the maximum drawdown, I'm not really interested in this. I'm looking at the relative drawdown. So from the peak down, again, we're seeing it's about 12%, right? So for GU as well, EU was about 12 point something percent. GU as well is about 12%. Now, consecutive losses, this one actually had 19, right? But you could still see it was still within, still didn't exceed this. Remember, we are risking 0.5%. So of course, you could take your risk down depending on what you are intending to do. Now, consecutive wins, all right, was 15. Consecutive wins was 15. Um, usually your average profit trade for a good system should be more than the average loss trade, which is what we have here. All right, this is more than almost getting to double of the average loss trade. And then the largest profit trade again should be greater than the largest loss trade. As you can see, profit trades won just about 53.6%. So it's not like it has one outstanding win rate, but what happens is it's able to ride trends, it's able to ride a trend for a bit of time, right? Which enables it to capitalize on those moves. So great returns, if you ask me. So imagine if you are trading a prop account. I'm going to be doing a video around prop firms and what they are and all that subsequently, hopefully either before the month runs out or before the year runs out. I'm going to be doing a series on prop firms. So imagine if you are trading a 100K account. Let's even bring it down. Let's even imagine it's just a 50K account, right? For ease of calculations, let's use 100K, then you could bring it down to whatever thing you want. So let's imagine you're trading a 100K account, and then you are using half of the risk and you're trading just GU on the account, right? So what that means is that your maximum drawdown, right, would have been 6%, just over 6%, right? And then you would have been able to pass this account because you needed 15%. What you had here was 122%. But let's assume, okay, we are not compounding, we need to be taking money out and all that. So because of that, we take our win rates down to okay, this is 0.5%. So imagine that instead of 0.5%, we are risking 0.25%. So what would have gotten should have been about 61%, 60% thereabouts. All right, so let's say allow it at 55% or even 50%, and we take out 15% out of it. What you're still left with is about what? 35%. So let's assume we still remove another 5% for any other issues that might have arisen. So we are still left with about 30% profit, right? So 30% profit on a 100K account is 30K. So let's even assume it's 20%, right? That you're able to get. So 20% on a 100K account is 20K, and you are able to get 80% payout of that. That is 16K in a year. And you could do this hands-free or by just allowing your system to be on for 10 minutes a day. That is all the work that is required. Allow your system to be on for 10 days, for 10 minutes every day, or put it on the VPS and virtually set and forget. So that is really, really crazy if you ask me. All right, so that is that about the trend engine. If you are interested in getting the copy, a link to the websites where you could get it will be in the comments. And of course, if you have any questions, you could feel free to reach out to me. The contact details are on the website as well. Feel free to reach out, or you could just ask questions under this video and I'll be happy to respond. So happy trading. Remember, there's a 30% discount going on at the moment, our Black Friday sales. So you could also take advantage of that to get this EA. It's currently at introductory prices, and that is because right now I'm still building my FX book data. So once my FX book data has been on for a bit of a while, and of course the proficiencies for now, all I'm showing people backtest results and all that. So once my FX book data is compiled to a reasonable extent, where of course no one can question the reliability of the data anymore, then what will basically happen is, what will happen? The price will basically go up. So take the opportunity now to get in, especially using this 30% Black Friday discount that is going on at the moment. And I'm sure you will not regret that you did so. All right, enjoy the rest of your week.